Welcome back, everyone. The iPhone 13 just came out, so let's go and compare it against the iPhone 10 and see which one you should pick up or if you should upgrade. Now, first of all, the iPhone 13 is that latest and greatest, you guys already know. So if you want to pick up either one of these things, links are down in the description. You can get them from there and help support the channel at the same time. Now, side by side, there are some key differences. The iPhone 13 has that bigger panel, a 6.1-inch OLED panel. The iPhone 10, on the other hand, has a smaller 5.8-inch panel. Are you going to notice the difference? Honestly, not really. Day to day, I use both these phones as a main phone. Well, I've used both screen sizes as a main phone, and I didn't really see too many differences. The notch, though, is where the bigger difference lies. As you can see, the notch is a little bit smaller on the iPhone 13, and definitely not that big of a deal, and you probably won't even tell. And the layouts are almost identically the same. So on the side, you do have the flat side on the iPhone 13, but you have that curved side on the iPhone 10, which, I really don't prefer one either or. The iPhone 10, though, feels a little bit more premium because it is a stainless steel. And on the back, you have glass backs on both and dual camera setups on both as well. Now, you do get a little bit of a different camera setup, but we'll get into that in a second. And glass backs on both as well, which look really, really good. Wireless charging capability, you have the MagSafe capability here. And on the bottom, you have lightning ports, which look really good, and nothing else on the back, side of this except for the power buttons. So in terms of that covers it up on the outside. Now, there is a pretty big difference in terms of longevity. So here's the thing. The iPhone 13 just came out, right? This is the flagship from Apple, and Apple's going to support this thing for a little bit of time. With the iPhone 10, it's been out since 2017. So this is not a new phone anymore. So this one is probably going to be supported for a couple more years, but it's definitely not going to last as long as something like an iPhone 13. So that's a pretty big thing to keep in mind. If you're trying to get the phone that's going to last the longest amount of time, the iPhone 13 is the better phone here in this specific case. But if you still own an iPhone 10, there are still some advantages for this, and it's still going to be supported for some, a bit of time as well. So I think in terms of that, you're pretty much set for the most part, but do keep in mind, sooner than later, within the next couple of years, probably within the next 2-3 years, you may want to switch over to an iPhone 13. Now that we have that out of the way, let's go and do a speed comparison between both of these phones. Now the iPhone 10 has that Apple A11 Bionic chip inside of it with 3 gigabytes of RAM, where the iPhone 13 has that Apple A15 Bionic chip inside of it with 4 gigabytes of RAM. So let's go and see which one is the faster one between both of those. Okay, now that we're back, all the apps are cleared out in the background as you guys can see, so let's get into it. Let's do phone calls, 3, 2, 1. And definitely, I think the iPhone 13 was faster. Animations-wise, pretty much the same thing. Music, 3, 2, 1. And I would probably say the iPhone 13 is the faster one. The iPhone 10 was a little bit slower. Even settings, let me go and clear out Safari. Even settings, 3, 2, 1. Even an application like that, you're still going to get a faster speed on something like an iPhone 13. Let's do their app stores, 3, 2, 1. And I still think the iPhone 13 was far faster there. Scrolling through, you guys can see pretty much the same thing. I've never really noticed a screen difference or scrolling difference. Clicking there was pretty much the same thing too. Swiping between these two apps was pretty much the same experience, so I can tell that big of a difference. 3, 2, 1. I think the iPhone 13 was a little bit faster there. Let's get into news, which I don't even have here. Let's do clock, 3, 2, 1. I think the iPhone 13 again was a faster one there. And as always, we have a lot of these third-party apps that we can go ahead and get into. So let's get started. Let's do Instagram. Let's do Facebook, 3, 2, 1. And I think the iPhone 13 definitely was a faster one there. Twitter, 3, 2, 1. And the microphone may have just moved there a little bit. And the iPhone 13 again was a far faster one. Let's get into Stack, 3, 2, 1. And definitely, I do think the iPhone 13 again was the faster one there. Hopping out of this one, thank you, 3, 2, 1. And the iPhone 13 again is the faster one. The iPhone 10 was stuck on that black screen for a little bit of time. Now, gameplay-wise, like I mentioned, I don't think we're going to see those big of a differences with these ones. Saw a little glitch on the iPhone 10 there. Snake vs. Blocks, 3, 2, 1. And again, a little glitch on the iPhone 10 when I opened up that app. And very interesting, you typically don't see those things. The iPhone 13 definitely was the faster one here. Gameplay-wise here, again, I don't think we're going to notice a difference. I do see a glaring difference, though, on both displays, so I think the iPhone 13 looks a little bit better. Netflix, 3, 2, 1. And for some reason, I didn't want to open on the iPhone 13, so again, we'll load this up in the background for RAM management. Quizlet, 3, 2, 1. But it was still faster than I thought on the iPhone 13, and the iPhone 10 definitely slower. Dropbox, 3, 2, 1. Again, the iPhone 13 faster. iPhone 10 a little bit behind. Bofa, don't have here. Temple Run 2, 3, 2, 1. And it is looking like the iPhone 13 is the faster one. the iPhone 10 substantially slower here. We are seeing quite a bit of difference here. Typically, you don't see these many differences, but as you can see, this was a massive one for sure. And I've opened up Temple Run 2 on this phone before too, so you're definitely seeing quite a bit of difference there. I was not expecting that. Hopping out of this one, we'll go and load up Snapchat 3, 2, 1. And even on an application like this where we're not even logged in, is definitely far faster on the iPhone 13. So from my understanding, the iPhone 10 is definitely a slower phone than the iPhone 13 for sure. So if you're wanting to, I would highly recommend upgrading from your iPhone 10 to an iPhone 13. That's probably going to be a worthwhile upgrade for sure. So that covers it up there. Now let's go and hit on the cameras. Now, like I mentioned, we both have dual camera setups on the back, but a different setup. You have on the iPhone 10, you have a wide angle lens and a telephoto lens. With the iPhone 13, you have a wide and an ultra wide sensor. Now you have the 4K at 60 on the back, but you only have 1080p on the front of the iPhone 10. We actually have 4K at 60 on the front of the iPhone 13, so there's definitely a big difference there. Now in terms of the camera UI on both, you're pretty much getting the same thing like I've been mentioning on basically all iPhones. You can see we have portrait mode, video mode, and all that stuff, but the iPhone 13 does now have this cinematic mode, which the iPhone 10 doesn't have, and it will never get. It's essentially, portrait mode on video, and I think it looks really good. I think this is probably one of the key features of the iPhone 13 because it is the main feature that the iPhone 13 was highlighted with, and I think it's a cool feature without a doubt. Now with the iPhone 10's camera, I'm a huge fan of it. I think it looks pretty good, and I've few complaints with it overall. I think it's a good sensor. Is it perfect? Not really, and it is quite a bit blurrier than I thought it was, just a few years ago. But I will tell you, it's good. I think it'll get the job done. I think the thing that limits, though, is probably that telephoto lens. I wish it was an ultra-wide sensor. That would make things look a lot better. But you still have things like portrait mode and video mode and stuff like that, obviously video mode. But I still think it's a pretty good camera. But without a doubt, the iPhone 13 is probably the better camera here. I mean, this is a solid camera. This is one of the best cameras out right now. The 13 Pro is probably the better one. But you have that ultra-wide sensor, which is something I loved on this phone. You have the ability of zooming out a lot, which, like I mentioned before, it doesn't come on the iPhone 10. So I think that's definitely a huge key point of the iPhone 10 or iPhone 13, and definitely one of the main benefits of the camera. And now we make it to the end of the video. So should you go and buy an iPhone 10 or keep your iPhone 10, or should you go and buy an iPhone 13? Like I mentioned yesterday, I think the iPhone 10s actually is that dropping point. So if you have an iPhone 11 or newer, keep it. But if you have an iPhone 10s or lower, that's where you're going to be seeing the bigger differences. I've been seeing that, first of all, the iPhone 10 is still a good phone. I have very few complaints about it. It's still a fast phone. It's still a good phone. It looks beautiful. Visually, they don't even look that different, even though they have a smaller notch and flat sides. It still looks pretty much the same. It's literally the same thing. You guys already know this. But this phone is still pretty good. Cameras are good. It's just a good phone overall. It's definitely not great. It makes it really amazing because of that price tag. Now with the iPhone 13, this is the better phone in every direction. The cameras are better. The performance, as we tested, was a much better performing phone on the iPhone 13 than on the iPhone 10. You're getting a way better camera setup on this phone as well. The ultra-wide sensor is beautiful. Battery life is going to be better on the iPhone 13 as well. I still have to test that, but it's looking like the iPhone 13's battery life is going to be top tier. And like I mentioned, this is a solid upgrade from the iPhone 10. Now, I still think if you are okay with having, the 60 hertz panel and stuff, then okay, get the iPhone 13. But I would also recommend getting the iPhone 13 Pro. That's also a pretty solid upgrade. Going from an iPhone 10 to an iPhone 12, I think is a huge upgrade, just like going from an iPhone 10 to an iPhone 13. Both these phones are great. If you have an iPhone 10, if you want to upgrade, go for it. I think this is a worthwhile upgrade for sure, and I think it's a really decent upgrade from the iPhone 10. And I'm not just saying that. I think if you have an iPhone 11, going to a 13 is a waste of money, but the 10 is not that bad of a value. If you have a phone especially older than a 10, like an iPhone 7 or iPhone 6s Plus, the 13 is that phone for you, and it's a solid device. So in terms of that pretty much covers it up. If you guys have any other questions or anything like that, let me know in the comment section below. Hit the like button, that would mean so much, but definitely hit that subscribe button. More importantly than everything else, I love every single one of you guys. Hopefully I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out till then.